sky above the distant planet was green and thick with clouds. The wind blew sharply across the barren fields. A small group of humans landed on the surface, their ships shining with light. They moved quickly, each step confident and firm. The humans were led by Queen Clara. She walked at the front, her eyes scanning every shadow. Behind her were Jack, Ethan, Lily, and Sam. Each soldier carried weapons and gear ready for anything. The locals had never seen humans before. They hid in caves and tall towers, watching from a distance. The humans moved silently and fast. They crossed rocky paths that seemed impossible to climb. Clara pointed to a ridge and signaled her team. Jack and Ethan ran ahead, scouting the area. Lily and Sam stayed behind, checking the supplies and guarding the rear. Suddenly, a small group of locals appeared on the ridge. They looked curious, but also afraid. Clara raised her hand and spoke, but the humans' language was strange to the locals. The locals tried to respond, but their words made no sense to the humans. Clara frowned. She waved her team forward. They walked carefully, keeping distance, but showing no fear. One local moved closer, holding a stick as if it were a weapon. Jack stepped forward and gently pushed the stick away. The local jumped back, unsure of what to do. Clara stepped down from the ridge and looked at the local. Her calm presence made the local hesitate. He had never seen someone so strong and still. Clara signaled him to step aside. Slowly he moved, but his eyes never left her. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the nearby forest. Humans reacted instantly. Ethan shouted and pointed, and the team moved into position. From the trees, more locals rushed out. They carried tools and strange devices. Clara and her team formed a line. They did not attack first. They watched and waited. The locals advanced, unsure if they should fight or run. A quick clash happened at the edge of the clearing. Jack and Ethan used short bursts of force to stop the first locals. Lily moved to help, pushing anyone who came too close. Sam covered their back, making sure no one attacked from behind. Within minutes, the locals were retreating. They'd never seen humans fight. Yes. Their attacks were weak and slow compared to human speed and strength. Clara signaled her team to hold. They watched as the locals ran back to their towers. The humans did not chase. Clara walked forward and touched the ground. She felt the power in her body and the energy of her team. She knew they were stronger than the locals expected. Jack looked at her and nodded. Ethan checked their equipment. Lily smiled slightly. Sam stayed alert, scanning the horizon. From a hidden cave, one local watched everything. He was young and scared. He'd seen his friends fall and run. He had seen the humans move with precision. He realized they were not like any other creature he had known. He ran to warn the others, telling them that humans were dangerous and smart. Said the Queen led them, and they could not be stopped easily. Clara looked at the horizon. She knew this planet would not be easy, but her team was ready. The humans had come to explore, but they were also ready to fight if needed. The wind blew across the fields, carrying the sounds of the retreating locals. The humans stayed alert, knowing that this was only the beginning. They had faced many challenges before, and this planet would be no different. They were humans, and they were ready for anything. The sun rose slowly over the strange planet, casting long shadows across the rocky plains. Clara and her team moved carefully, studying the area before entering the next valley. Jack walked beside her, scanning the horizon. Ethan and Sam stayed behind to guard the supplies, while Lily checked the map and instruments. The humans had learned quickly from their first encounter. They knew the locals were cautious and fast to flee. Clara spoke quietly to her team. She planned to move slowly and gather information before any major battle. They wanted to know the strength and tactics of the locals. In the distance, small figures appeared. The humans recognized them from the day before. The locals were trying to build defenses. Clara nodded and whispered orders. Jack and Ethan moved closer to watch without being seen.
Ow.
Observing every movement, the locals worked together, carrying materials and constructing barriers. They looked worried and unsure. They whispered to each other and pointed at the humans, but the humans could not hear them. Clara studied their actions. She knew they had some intelligence, but it was not enough to match human skill in planning and strategy. Jack and Ethan returned to Clara with reports. The locals had traps, but nothing strong enough to stop them. Clara smiled slightly. She told the team to prepare for the next move. They needed to show their presence without attacking directly. Humans were not only strong, but smart. They used fear and control to manage the situation. Clara walked into the clearing with her team behind her. They moved slowly, showing they were aware, but not afraid. The locals froze. They had never seen humans move like this. Jack raised his hand and made a gesture. Ethan did the same. Lily and Sam stood tall, making their shapes larger. The locals stepped back, unsure what to do. A young local named Varen watched from a rock. He had seen the humans destroy his friends in the first clash. He was frightened and amazed. He ran to the Council of Elders, speaking quickly about the humans. He described the Queen, Clara, and how she led with calm but strong control. He told them humans were fast, strong, and smart. They could not be fought with simple tools. The elders listened, shaking their heads. They realized the humans were different. They had never faced anything like this. They debated what to do next. Some wanted to attack, others wanted to hide. But Varen insisted they could not defeat humans in direct combat. The humans' power was too great and their minds too clever. Clara and her team stayed in the clearing for several hours. They did not attack, but they moved in a way that showed confidence and strength. They tested the locals' reactions and watched their tactics. Jack noticed patterns. Ethan recorded movements. Lily made notes about defense points. Sam kept watch for any hidden attacks. By evening, the humans withdrew slightly, leaving the locals to consider their next move. Varen watched from a distance, shaking. He realized the humans were not only fighters, but leaders. He knew he had to warn everyone that humans would change everything. Clara looked back at her team and nodded. It made the first real impact. The locals would now fear humans and respect their power. The humans were ready for what would come next. They had survived the first challenge, and they were already planning the next step on the strange planet. Clara led the way, her eyes sharp for any signs of danger. Jack and Ethan followed closely, scanning the area for traps or hidden locals. Lily and Sam stayed behind, guarding their supplies and watching the trees. The forest was quiet, but the humans knew silence could hide danger. She had seen movement in the distance. A small group of locals was trying to ambush them. Jack raised his hand and the team crouched, moving slowly toward cover. The humans did not panic. They had trained for these situations. They approached the ambushers with precision, keeping low and silent. The locals attacked suddenly, throwing sticks and stones. Jack and Ethan stepped forward, blocking the attacks. Lily moved quickly to disarm anyone who got close. Sam covered their rear. The humans were stronger and faster than the locals expected. Within moments, the attackers were pushed back and running. Clara looked around and nodded. Team moved forward, now more alert. The humans had to adapt quickly. They climbed a small hill to get a better view. From there, Clara could see a settlement in the valley below. The locals had built walls and towers, but the humans could see the weaknesses. Jack whispered to Clara. He had found a narrow path leading to the settlement. Clara smiled and signaled the team. The humans moved carefully, stepping over rocks and through bushes. They used shadows to hide their presence. The locals did not notice them. Inside the settlement, the humans watched the locals. They were busy with supplies and communication. Clara studied their behavior. She realized the locals had no plan for a real battle. The humans could use this to their advantage. Clara made a decision. She would not attack immediately. Instead, she would show her power slowly, creating fear and respect. Jack and Ethan set small traps along the outer paths, forcing the locals to focus on defense. Lily and Sam quietly observed the main gates and walls. Varen, the young local who had seen humans before, watched from a high tower. He was terrified. He ran to warn the leaders. He described Clara, the human queen, and her team. He said they were not only strong, but smart. He warned that humans could outthink any strategy the locals had. The leaders listened but felt powerless. They had walked and observed all day. Jack and Ethan checked their weapons. Lily studied the maps and paths. Sam stood guard, alert to any movement. Clara looked at the settlement and knew that tomorrow they would test the locals again. They had shown strength and strategy without a full fight. The locals would remember this and fear the humans' next move. Clara felt pride in her team. They were ready for anything the planet could throw at them. They were humans, and they were unstoppable. The night was silent around the valley, but Clara and her team were awake. They had set camp on a ridge that gave them a view of the settlement. Clara sat with Jack, Ethan, Lily, and Sam, speaking in low voices. They planned the next step. Clara wanted to strike at the heart of the settlement and show the locals that humans could not be stopped. At dawn, the team prepared. Jack checked his weapons with calm hands. Ethan carried extra supplies and tools for sabotage. Lily tied her hair back and adjusted her gear. Sam tested the ropes and hooks they would use to climb walls. Clara looked at each of them, her eyes steady. She told them this was not just a battle, it was a message. They would strike once and leave, forcing the locals to live with fear. The team moved down the ridge and crossed the valley in silence. They reached the first wall without being seen. Sam threw a rope and climbed quickly. Jack followed, then Lily and Ethan. Clara went last, her climb strong and controlled. On the other side, they crouched low and studied the guards. The locals walked slowly, unaware that humans were already inside. Clara signaled Jack and Ethan to move left while she led Lily and Sam to the right. Ethan quietly cut the ropes that held a large supply of food. Jack placed spikes on paths that the locals used often. Lily and Sam created distractions near the outer gates. Clara watched everything and gave orders with simple hand signs. The locals soon noticed strange things happening. Supplies fell and broke. Doors were jammed. Paths were blocked. Guards ran in confusion. The humans did not fight directly, but their presence spread fear. The locals whispered to each other, believing the humans were everywhere at once. They felt hunted inside their own walls. Then Clara gave the signal. Jack and Ethan rushed from the shadows, striking quickly at the guard posts. Lily and Sam pushed over barriers that crashed into the main square. Clara walked boldly into the open, her eyes locked on the leaders who stood near a high tower. She raised her weapon and pointed at them without speaking. The leaders froze. They had never seen such confidence and power. The locals tried to rally, but the humans moved faster. Every attempt to form a defense failed. Traps slowed them, the strikes confused them, and the humans' teamwork crushed their spirit. Clara's team fought with perfect timing. Jack covered Ethan, Lily shielded Sam, and Clara commanded with strength. Within minutes, the settlement was broken. Fires spread, walls fell, and the locals scattered in panic. Varen watched from a hiding place. His heart pounded as he saw the humans destroy everything so quickly. He could not believe how calm they were. Clara stood in the center of the square, her team around her as if they owned the land. The locals no longer shouted or resisted. They fled into the hills, leaving their homes behind. Clara raised her hand, signaling her team to stop. The humans were stronger, faster, and smarter. The locals had no chance. Jack and Ethan pulled back, watching for any last attacks. Lily and Sam gathered what supplies they could carry. Clara looked at the burning settlement one last time before leading her team back to the ridge. When night fell again, the valley was silent. Locals were gone, their fires extinguished. The humans rested, but Clara knew this was only one step. Their message was clear now. Anyone who saw them would remember the fear. Humans were not just visitors, they were warriors, and no one could stand in their way. The smoke from the destroyed settlement drifted across the valley. Clara stood on the ridge with her team, watching the ruins in silence. Jack sat, sharpening his blade, his face calm, but his eyes alert. Ethan was checking their supplies, making sure nothing had been wasted. Lily leaned against a rock, her weapon across her lap, while Sam scanned the horizon for movement. They had struck hard, and now the land carried the mark of their power. In the distance, small groups of locals moved through the hills. They were frightened and scattered, too afraid to return to their homes. Varen, the young one who had watched everything, ran with them. He tried to speak to anyone who would listen. His voice shook as he told them of Clara and her team. He said, "Humans did not fight like any other. They moved as if born for battle. They struck with speed and precision, and they never lost control." He called Clara the queen who could lead men into any fight and win. The survivors gathered in secret caves. They argued about what to do. Some wanted to fight back, others wanted to hide. But Varen told them humans could not be fought with numbers. He said he had seen them break a settlement in minutes. He described how Jack and Ethan struck like thunder, how Lily and Sam controlled the ground, and how Clara stood like a shadow that no one could touch. The elders listened and grew pale. They knew their people would never be the same. Clara looked at her team as the night came. She spoke quietly, saying they had done what they needed. Their goal was not endless destruction, but to show that humans were untouchable. Ethan said the locals would speak of this day with fear. Lily added that they had planted doubt in every mind. Sam stayed silent, but his eyes showed he understood. The next morning, Clara led her team down the ridge again. They moved across the land, leaving marks of their presence. At every place they passed, locals fled without a fight. The stories had spread too quickly. The fear was stronger than any weapon. Clara did not need to swing her blade to win. The memory of her strength was enough. Baron followed from afar, his heart torn between fear and awe. He saw the humans move together, never breaking formation. He realized they were not just warriors, but something greater. They were a force that no wall could stop, and no number could overwhelm. He decided to carry this truth to other lands. He would tell everyone about the humans. He would warn them that if humans chose to fight, no power could resist them. Clara and her team returned to their camp when the sun was high. They ate in silence, each one lost in thought. Clara looked at the sky and knew their time on this world was almost over. They had made their point. They had shown what it meant to face humans in battle. Jack laughed softly and said the locals would remember their names. Ethan agreed, saying even the bravest would think twice before standing against them. Lily smiled faintly. Sam simply stood watch, his hand on his weapon. As night fell, Clara gathered her team around the fire. She told them they had done something greater than any battle before. They had carved fear into the hearts of those who had seen them. She reminded them that they were not just explorers, they were the edge of human strength. Wherever they went, the world would remember. Far away, Varen stood on a cliff, looking at the humans' campfire. He whispered to himself that humans were not like any other. They were the end of peace when they chose to fight. His words became a vow. He would spread the warning. He would tell the truth of what he had seen. The horrifying reality of humans in battle was clear now. They were unstoppable, and the galaxy would never forget them.